Are the odds greater that your salary is going to go up 40% or home prices will have to come down? One of the two has to happen because math has to make sense. You cannot have $1 million home and be living in poverty. Not possible. The bank's going to come and repo your home. We have some advanced look at the June numbers that came out, and man, are they spicy. So across Canada, the United States, the interest rates are continuing to go up and up and up. That is the story that everyone is talking about, and it is crushing people. And the snowball has just started at the top of the hill and it's picking up some steam. We're going to be looking into some data so that you can make smarter decisions if you're thinking about buying properties or selling property. I mean, if you live in a house or an apartment of any kind, we got to know what is happening because these macro events is going to affect the price of your home if you're buying or selling, and it's going to affect your rent price. As you have seen, as those rates have been going up to combat inflation, what has happened to your rent prices has gone to the moon. And rent prices now are bananas. In Toronto and Vancouver, where I am, prices are over $3,000. Places like Southern California, $5,500 for a one-bedroom apartment. And it really, really, really depends where you are. And I'd love to know where you are, so you can always leave that information for me below. All right, so let's get into some of the information. Today, you guys, I actually operate out of Toronto. So let's take a look at Toronto. Toronto prices have started on the move. So now we have moved on. We got June numbers. According to the Canadian Real Estate Association, they still don't have the June numbers, but thankfully you guys follow me and we have some numbers already released for you. It has turned. The tide has turned. For you guys to know, let's just go back for 2 years. We had this weird blip that happened. Very, very predictably, we saw the prices drop from 1.3 million where I am and start getting crushed when those interest rates started going up very minimally. And a lot of you wondered what happened into February, March, April, and May as prices actually shot up and went to the moon. As prices started surging in this past 4 months, this was all because Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. And when they collapsed, everyone got scared and reduced their commissions. This is super, super important for us to understand that. Now those rates are continuing up. The Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic Bank is behind us. And now we're seeing this downturn in the prices as the bite of those interest rates are going to continue. And I already know, what is your next question? Are we over yet? Is the rate punishment going to stop? That's what we're not really sure. And so let's continue on. Is it going to stop? Right here, if we take a look, we have to watch the United States. Remember, they are the world reserve currency. It is a 94% chance, 94.9% chance that we are going to be raising those rates come very, very soon. And so this is as soon as 6 weeks away that it's going to go up to 5.5%. So you guys, we have to be paying attention to this. Where is Canada sitting right now? Canada is sitting at 5%. 5%. We just raised it up on July 12th. 5% sitting right now. But we made a mistake and we paused 2 times. Please know that the United States, they kept on raising their rates. So we are behind the 8 ball, 5% right here. And they are still sitting at 5.25. So we're still behind. And it looks like the United States are going to raise 2 more times. Are you ready for a 5.5% interest rate? We're sitting at a 5 right now. You should be ready for a 5% interest rate. The likelihood is that will probably happen. They have been very, very clear that they will keep going until something breaks. They said many times they don't care at all if they keep raising the rates up. What they want is to not raise it enough and have to raise it more later. In response to that, though, in Canada's position, we decided to pause in March and April, thinking that the lag effect would be bigger than it is, and it wasn't. So we look a little weird, but one of the reasons that they said, you guys, we don't have to worry in Canada. Well, they said we have so much excess savings in the market. So let's take a look at that. Is that true, or is that a load of crap? So Canada household savings rate, let's take a look. We can go all the way back until 1950 or something like that. Let's see where we are back in 1950. Well, they were always sitting around 0 in 1950. Oh, wait, they hit that again in 2019. Then they mailed out some checks to some people, but look at where we are right now. We are only hit that a couple years around '05, '06, and before that in 2006. There is no excess savings anymore, guys. That's a story from 2020. All right, let's just look back 3 years. Where is the savings now? We're at 2.9%. Okay, so that's kind of crappy. That's not a real reason. I feel like they're gaslighting me. So let's look at the United States, the big kahuna. If we look at them, these gray lines are recessions. We could take a look where they were right here at 3.2. We haven't hit that since 2005. And before that, it's not even on record. There wasn't even any savings like that. So clearly, that is not the case. People are suffering because of inflation really, really badly. So the main thing for us to know is that the rates are going to be going higher and are going to continue to crush property prices. In Toronto right now, property prices are sitting at 1.1 million right now, 1.1 million. The new data came in and it's now sinking. Okay, so important to know, prices now are reacting downward because Silicon Valley Bank is over. Also, please note that back at the beginning of the year, it was 30 days to sell a property. Then it dropped all the way down to 15, and we're seeing it tick up again. It's now taking 16 and a half days to sell a property. So this is perfectly in line with the prices that we saw. The prices are starting to go down. And this is across all product types, condos, townhomes, detached properties. All right, let's take a look. Are people overpaying still? Well, again, very, very predictably, they are not. It went kind of crazy for 4 months, up to 105% of asking price, and now it's sitting down at 103. So that is turning over as well. So all three big readings are all showing you that they're going the wrong way. If you are not paying attention to this, I think that some of you might get hurt. Now, it doesn't really matter where we look. Let's just take one small area. We'll go Mississauga. How about that? We'll do this live. And I'm here today because I want to answer your questions. I'm doing this live. Look at in Mississauga. Prices are ticking down. People are willing to pay less money for it in Mississauga. This is across Toronto, you guys. Let's look at prices. In prices, property prices dropped from $1,144,000 down to $1,104,000. It dropped $40,000 per home. When we're talking about an area where over 1 million people live, $40,000 a home is a lot of money. Also, if we want to look how long are properties taking to sell, they also are ticking up, albeit slightly, but all the metrics are moving in the wrong direction. We need to understand this for our own sake. The policy right now is at 5, and it's going to be going higher. I think it has to be. So if we continue on and we look at CREA's data is late. This is the Canadian Real Estate Association. They only have May data. Hopefully, they're going to be coming out with new data soon. But these big bumps in Canada's biggest markets in Vancouver and Toronto, these are the ones that are going to be showing the largest declines. The number one area in Canada that has suffered the most is Oakville. Oakville takes the cake in dropping from 1.6 million and to a low of 1.2, evaporating $400,000. Massive difference. So how much could your home in Canada lose? How much money is your home going to lose in Canada? Well, look, $1 million mortgage at 2%. Let's take a look at what these numbers are. $1 million mortgage at 2% last year was costing you $4,000, $4,200. And now if you take that out for $1 million, prime rate is sitting at 7.2. Prime rate is 7.2. Unbelievable to look at 2% to 7.2. Prime rate is 7.2 right now. So what is your mortgage at 7.2 on 25 years? That would be $7,200. Where in the flying F do people come up with $3,000 extra dollars a month? It's not possible. You and I know that they are going to go bankrupt. They cannot afford an extra $3,000. So unless you believe for some reason that Canada, all Canadians are going to make an extra $3,000 a month, clear money, okay, that means you got to gross $5,000 a month. If you think that they have that all sitting around, I think you got another thing coming to you. So either everybody has to get a massive raise, a 40% raise, according to Statistics Canada, 40% increase in payments, they're saying. So unless you believe everyone's going to get a 40% increase in pay, which I think is complete la-la land, then what it actually has to happen? Well, look, a $600,000 home at 7.2 is $4,300. Please reference what it was last year. $1 million was $4,200. People's wages haven't changed. In fact, I would say it's harder. So if their wage has not gone above 4,200 and we have to make the same payment, home prices have to drop by 40%. That is ridiculous. That is cray cray. That will really, really start to hurt people. And this is not going to stop anytime soon. This is why I want you guys to do well. So let's take a look at this. Now, we got somebody here saying that your favorite is that agents are still reminding people that it's a good time to buy. And I guess I'm the worst agent on the planet, I guess, because you guys know that we sell properties here. I run sellhigher.ca. If you're looking to talk to me, you can always go to sellhigher.ca. That's where we sell properties for more money, faster, and less hassle. But let's take a look at this chart. Do you guys remember last spring when the war started and the interest rates are going up? I said sell, sell, sell here, sell in the summer. In the fall, when those sharks were telling people still buy, still buy, I'm the only agent that tells people that they should sell their property because I don't want you to lose. That's what's crazy. So when are people going to start losing their homes? And that's a really, really easy answer to find out. Just go to Investopedia and type in response lag. The response lag is the time that it takes for monetary and fiscal policies to work out. We got to know, well, how long do these interest rates normally hit people? And they say right on their website that the Federal Reserve cuts, it doesn't matter, Bank of Canada, Bank of Japan, doesn't matter which one, it takes 18 months from the change of the interest rate. Okay, so then let's go take a look at this. So Canada just raised it a week ago on July 12th. So this interest rate that you're seeing right here, this one, the last one, we got to wait 18 months to find out the reaction to that. Today, we are barely into feeling the first one that they did last March. 18 months it takes from the last interest rate hike. And so you got to ask yourself, well, how long, what are people doing right now? Well, I know exactly what you're doing. I did a complete video on that when I was talking about 70, 80, 90-year mortgages. My own family members have 75-year mortgages, which is unbelievable that they can be going on like this. I think it's like criminal that this is happening. But when you look at these numbers and you're seeing them now turn over, all of that extra money. I did some videos that Silicon Valley Bank just gave $50,000 to every single person looking to sell their home. And guess what? I was wrong. It actually went as high as $100,000. Please look at the chart. It went from 924,000 to 1,144,000. Depending on your product type, you would have made like 200 grand, not just $50,000. So I undershot myself. But when you see them reduce their commissions by one whole percentage point, it pushes home prices up 10. Happens every time. Math is just math. And so this is when it's going to happen. Peter is saying people are dumb. Well, sometimes. Well, listen, if you're new to my channel, well, then I feel bad for you if you got burnt and that you didn't see this. If you have been following our channel for several years, well, then I don't know. I try to give out as much information I can for free to try to help people. And we can never say that you didn't see it coming. That's what I would say. If we talk about rent, rent has barely come down. It hasn't come down very much. Nothing significant. Prices are hitting high after high after high. Yes, of course, in the lows, it's going to be there, but we're not sucking enough liquidity out of the system to actually reduce rents even close to where it was before. Once rent prices go up, they're very, very sticky. And in a slowdown in the market, more renters enter the market. And then guess what? Guess what? Then there is even more. So type in Canada home ownership chart. We can take a look at these charts all the time and see where we're sitting. Normally, let's look across the country. So in BC, it's sitting at 66%. Alberta 70, 67 in the cheaper areas. Quebec is 59, Ontario's 68. But if we look across Canada, we're normally sitting around 65%. Doesn't matter what year it is. If we go back, look at 2021, it was 65 and a half. It's always around that 65%. Here's a chart. Let's go back and check out max. Okay, 2063, that was low. And then it got as high as 67. It's always sitting at 65%. Same as the United States. It's always around that number. But what really, really, really punishes people is when we go into a recession, what happens in recessions is that there's going to be a low. And around 2-3% of people actually lose their homes. Please remember in 2007, 8, 9, when we ran into our other problems, the GFC, we lost how much? 4% of people. Only 4% of people went into foreclosure, and it caused all the problems. that you see right now. So it's always sitting very, very steady. So we have to be careful right now because rents normally go up in a recession. It's taking 7 months to get a tribunal for an eviction. Well, that's pretty quick. It really depends on where you are because in certain states of the US, in certain provinces in Canada, it could take you around 2 years to evict somebody. In other places, it could take you 1 or 2 weeks. So, that's one of the things that you got to be doing is always looking to rent or be a landlord in a place that favors you, that likes you. Why on earth would you ever even consider in your wildest dreams investing in a place that hates landlords? I mean, that's like the definition of insanity to me. When you are going to rent right now, we are seeing some crazy stuff that I have not seen in a lot of years. And so I could tell you from the people who are trying to rent right now, it's never been harder. But I've also never seen as much fraud as we're seeing right now. And so on some of the units that we have long-standing clients, you guys know that I run sellhire.ca, where we sell your homes for more money faster and less hassle. And so you can always contact our team through that website. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you anything. But for long-standing clients, we actually help them on the purchase of the rental properties, and we will rent them out for them. So when we do that, we are seeing all this fraud coming in where there's fake credit reports, fake job reports. The company doesn't exist. The phone numbers don't exist. Like, it's crazy. So now we have to get a video of them logging in to check their credit. We have a video of it, but they could also change that. Also, the people that they're getting a 1-800 number online and having somebody answer some weird number, because they know that once they get into the unit, you can't kick them out for a year. In some cases, a year and a half. Crazy, right? So the level of fraud has really stepped up. So now, in addition to having videos and 3 days, 5 days of due diligence, now they want one-on-one meetings with them where you have to go meet them in a restaurant and sit down with them. And why not? You're giving them a $1 million asset of yours, let's say, for an apartment, and all you're going to be charging them is $2,700 a month for that. I mean, you as a landlord are taking on all the risk. So you really have to satisfy yourself. But I've never seen fraud like this. So it is getting very, very hard. So if you have a credit score, let's say that even starts with a 6, I don't care if it's 699, okay, you're going to be in trouble. Usually they don't want anybody that has under 725. And if you do not make 40 times the rent in a gross annual salary, they're not even going to consider you. So if your rent is $2,000 a month, 40x that. You need to make $80,000 a year or they're not even going to look at you. So try to make sure that you have 40 times. But if you're not that person, my goodness, you are in for some rough times, my friends. Very, very rough times ahead. All right. So let's take a look at some of the other areas in Toronto. Please note that these prices are going to be continuing for a while. Unfortunately, I really, really wish that they didn't, but we're going to continue to get pummeled here. So let's try to look at a couple of these areas. We already tried out Mississauga. Let's try another big area in Toronto, for example, called Brampton. And then let's take a look at a couple of them around the country. So in Brampton, as well, look at that. Do you notice that they all rhyme, you guys? So we look back 1.1, 1,118. Now it's 1,104. It's going over the other side. You guys have to be able to see when the tide turns. Let's take a look. How long is it selling? Oh, very, very predictably, it's going longer days on market. Not really surprising, right? And let's take a look at the sales to asking ratio. It would be down. Oh, there you go. So this is why, you guys, I've done this for so long in my life that you should be able to see the patterns. They should be jumping out at you. You don't even have to tell me the area, and we could already predict and tell you where it's going to be. Is that some kind of voodoo magic? No. It's just that history always repeats itself, unfortunately. And this is just math. This is why I keep going back to the loans. And when we look at the loans, guys, these loans, look at that. It would require a 40% drop in prices for it to come up to the same price, which is absolutely cuckoo. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of the, in Alberta, we have somebody asking about Fort McMurray. I don't have Fort McMurray here, but we do have Alberta. Let's try to look up Calgary, Edmonton. Now, I'm also going to leave up some of the other ones just so that you guys have an idea of where we are. So take a look here. This is Oakville at the top. That's the worst in the country. Toronto, Vancouver are the next two. Obviously, these massive drops that you see right there, this area are bankruptcy events for a lot of people. When you have $400,000, $300,000 evacuate, it's going to wipe you out. So let's take a look at Edmonton. First of all, flat as a board. All the way going back to 2007 right to today, the price hasn't really changed at all. Prices barely even went up, to be honest with you, in the past couple of years. 350 went up to 400, and now it's sitting at 370. Big whoop. If we look at Calgary, Calgary had all of the advertising that's going on moved to Calgary. So they had a big bump in prices. I mean, going to from 400 and now it's sitting at 540, you're still looking at still sitting 25, 30% above where it was just a couple of years ago, whereas Edmonton doesn't have that. If we want to look at the Alberta total, Alberta is right in the middle of that total. I mean, the majority, it's those two cities anyway. Average was 382, and now it's sitting at 469. So let's take a look at that. Was a Brampton where we were looking up some numbers. Now let's try to look at a couple other ones. Let's look at some big ones in the city, just to give you an idea. If we're going to be looking at this, we should see things that are rhyming. Maybe let's try Vaughan. You should see the exact same thing playing out. And there you go. We're seeing these are the June numbers that came out. Prices that people are willing to pay have dropped a lot. From 105%, that's what the average sold price, to asking price. It's come down. That's very, very predictable. I bet you that the days on market is going up. Oh, there you go. From 14 days up to 16 days. This is why, you guys, if you're working with a good realtor, he's going to be able to do this for you. Look at that. Prices dropped from $1,350,000 down to $1,310,000, down $40,000 in 1 month. So that is Vaughan. You guys, this is happening, whether we like it or not. But it's good to know that it's happening. We have somebody asking us about Oakville. So let's take a look at Oakville. 2,485 homes have sold in Oakville. If you guys want to know what properties they actually sold, look at how many properties actually sold inside of Oakville. I mean, that gives you a lot of data points, right? 2,485 different properties that sold inside of Oakville. All right, let's try to look at some of the data that comes off of Oakville. We're going to see prices right now. All right, prices in Oakville. Look at that, 1.5 to 1.58. Wow, that's the only one that I've seen that has gone up. Now, of course, Oakville is a little bit weird. They have a lot of homes that are 10 million, 20 million, $30 million homes. And so, one or two of those big homes could obviously skew the numbers. All right, so let's go on. Sales to asking ratio is down everywhere else. It is down in Oakville as well. People are paying less over listing than they were just a month ago. Okay, that tracks. All right, days on market should be higher. And it's coming in. That's accurate as well. 14 days on market. Now it's sitting at 16 days. So in Oakville, this is tracking, except for the price, which would probably be, if we went and did our homework, some outliers that are there. King City and Kleinburg is a question that's coming in. All right, so let's try to look at some of those. City. Let's see if we can find Kleinburg and King City. I don't think that I have King City or Kleinburg. Can you guys help me with this? Tell me if you see it. I probably went past it, eh? I'm all the way down to Mono and Severn. I don't see it. King City or that one. I don't see that one. I'm sorry. Let's pull up Orangeville while I keep looking. Orangeville, days on market is less. That's very, very expected. If we take a look here at Orangeville, prices have up. But as again, Orangeville is very similar to Oakville, that just a couple properties could actually blow that up. Now let's look at sales to asking ratio. Should be down, and it too is down. And so we're not really surprised by that. That follows market trends, and it could have just been a couple properties that threw it off. All right, so let's just take another look, because I don't like to leave anybody hanging. King City and Kleinburg. King, let's see if I have enough for King. What do we have? Okay, King City, 99%. That's up a bit. That's surprising. Let's try to look at average price. Average price sitting at 2.3 million. Listen, guys, once it hits over 1.5, you're now sitting in a place that could be wildly, wildly swinging. So let's just go back. Look at this average in August of 22. Average home price was 5 million. And then 2 months later, it was 2 million. Come on. So you know that there is some outliers that happen there. So remember, the bigger the price is, the more susceptible they are. Also, how long is it taking to sell? It should be up. Yeah, there you go. 23 days on market is taking right now to sell in King. But thank you very much for being patient with me. We have a question coming in for Hamilton. Let's try to look at how Hamilton market is dealing. Hamilton, it's taking longer to sell a property. No big surprise right there, right? 3 days longer, 19 days to sell. Earlier in the year, it was 35 days. It's still better, but prices should be down, but look at that, 839 to 845. Hamilton is proving to be extremely resilient. And a lot of that comes to the way that the laws are written, because under $1 million, you don't have to put 20% down. As soon as you hit that $1 million number, you got to put 1 million down. So if those laws change, you're going to see a lot change in the way that the markets are running as well. So that was Hamilton. Now let's look at the sales to asking ratio. I think is the one that I didn't take a look at, and that's down as well. This follows every other area that we're talking about. People are paying less and less as these interest rates are coming at them. For those interest rates, everybody is fighting the Fed, and they shouldn't be fighting the Fed. So last year, $1 million mortgage at 2% was costing you 4,200, and now if you had 7.2, which is prime rate right now in the US, 7.2 is the rate that they're getting on their mortgages. A $600,000 mortgage at 7.2 is going to cost you the same price, which means you need either a 40% reduction in home prices, or your payments got to go from 4,200 up to 7,200, $3,000 more a month. So either you believe that people are going to get a 40% increase in their salary, or homes got to go down 40%. You got to figure that out. What do you think are the odds? You tell me. Are the odds greater that your salary is going to go up 40%, or do you think that home prices will have to come down? One of the two has to happen, because math has to make sense. You cannot have $1 million home and be living in poverty. It's not possible. The bank's going to come and repo your home. So we got to figure out what the probabilities of those two things are. All right. So we got some other questions coming in. How are sales to asking in Oshawa? What a great question. All right. So let's pull up Oshawa and see how Oshawa is behaving right now. Let's see. Oshawa, 2,439 properties sold in Oshawa in the past year. It's tracking like everywhere else. Look at that. People were paying 112%, which means if you ask for $1 million for your home, people would on average pay you $1,120,000 over what you're asking, which means also people were asking very low prices to begin with. But that is coming off very steep, a big change from this year that we haven't seen so far. All right, let's look at the prices in Oshawa. How is Oshawa behaving? Oshawa is actually remaining quite resilient. We just talked about this up in Orangeville, because when the prices are up under $1 million, you don't have to put 20% down. So the lower the price, especially if you're under $1 million, the more resilient you're going to be on the prices. Also, let's take a look at days on market. How long is it? Exact same as everywhere else it's tracking. Before it was 10 days on market. Now the new June numbers are 12 days on market. We should be able to see the tide turning. So let's take a look at the prices and try to look at the last 2 years. So in 2022, you should see a big drop off, which there was, 1,082,000 in Oshawa. Big drop through the year because of those interest rates crushing you. Silicon Valley Bank and all the problems that they had push those home prices up, but you're seeing all the areas having this downturn that is coming right now. So if you're not being careful and you're not paying attention to this, you could get smooshed. And I don't want you to get smooshed. That's the big news I have for you. But if you guys live somewhere in the Toronto area, you can always reach out to me to sellhigher.ca, where you can sell your home for more money, faster and less hassle. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. And if your agent does not have data like this, we are a very data-driven firm, and we have like a dozen people that specialize in this stuff. If you don't have an agent that does that stuff for you, I think you got to get another agent. You don't have to use us, just get somebody who has a lot of experience. All right, so let's move in to another city. Let's just pick on Burlington for a second. What you can do is you can go into Burlington, for example, and be very specific. Say you only wanted a detached home, and you only wanted a 3-bedroom home, for example, and you wanted to know specifically that type of market. You can do so, where you can find out the exact patterning of the Burlington properties and know how to price the property, because every neighborhood is different. You got to know what the average price is in the area, how many properties are selling in that area, what the average offers are coming into the area. You also have to know how to price the property. Look at right now, it's averaging 101%, but there's a lot of areas that are needing 112%. And some areas you need to put it at 95% or a lot lower than what you're actually expecting to get. It's very neighborhood specific. So all of these guys just go by hunches. You can't do that. You need hard data in order to do this job okay. Listen, man, it's all tracking the exact same. Almost across the entire country, we're seeing these same issues, right? We're seeing the days on market. The days on market are getting extremely longer. We're also seeing that the prices are going down, and we're seeing the days on market go up, and the sales to asking ratio is going down. And that pattern is continuing depending on where you are, right? It's going to continue as well. And so if we try to look at Korea, so let's make some predictions right now. Okay. So Korea, the Canadian Real Estate Association, has not, I repeat, has not got June information yet. Although I have the information for Toronto area, we can see a very, very clear pattern where we see as they lowered those interest rates. Let's zoom out a little bit, okay? I'm not going to do the whole year. Let's just go from 2020, okay? Let's take 2020 to today. As they were lowering rates, we saw it, all of these lines. You notice all of them are going up. All of the cities are going up. But then as soon as they start to increase rates, then we're seeing, you should see this pattern right here of all these lines that are starting to go down. You got to be able to see those macro patterns. When Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and they lowered their commission rate, look at what happened. All of these lines, do you not see them all going up in this area? Yeah. So you guys got to be a little bit shocked by that. And so when we go back and we look at, okay, what's just happened in the past, like give it a couple of months. Wait a second. You're telling me that rates went from 2.8 and shot up to 4? That means that home prices got to get squashed 12% just for the reaction to this. So you guys got to be looking at those numbers, and you should see them starting to curl over, and you should see a pattern of them all moving. This looks like a school of fish all moving through the same water, all doing the same thing. Of course, this is Toronto markets. These are big Toronto markets: Vancouver, Oakville, Vancouver, Lower Mainland, Mississauga, all of British Columbia, Fraser Valley, Victoria, Hamilton. So you got to be able to see this. If I took this and I told you this was the United States, the chart's going to look similar. You're going to have New York and Miami and San Francisco and all the big guys at the top, and then the middle cities in the middle, and the lower, smaller cities in the bottom, and probably Memphis at the very, very bottom. We have Maurice C. Memphis. It's our Memphis. Anyway, this is what we got to know, guys. This is important stuff. So I hope, if anything, I really, really helped you out, you guys. This is really important information. You guys got to be watching for this because it's coming for you. Whether you like it or not, unfortunately, this is coming for you. So if I could give you any advice, is work with skilled people. And so if you want to break free and you want to start making your journey into wealth building, you need a very, very good agent. You need a very good mortgage broker. You need good relationships with your banks. You're going to need very good accounting. You got to have good accountants, and you need to have a strategist that is working with you. You might have to have a tax lawyer working with you as well. So you have to build a team. If you don't build a team, you're going to get squashed, unfortunately. So right now, you got to be moving past inflation. So their crappy 3% that they tell you that the inflation is, don't listen to that, because you and me are not idiots. We're going to the store and we're like, I can't believe the price of gas. I can't believe the price of food. And so when you see that, don't look at that. Dig into that information more and figure out the answers for yourself, because you're going to need it. That's my suggestion for you guys. So if you are to find something that is going to figure out the real inflation for you, let me try to share my screen with you. You got to be looking at something like this. It's a tool that I built for myself. What you got to do is you have to figure out on your own, don't take the word out of their mouth, what the money supply is, what the total GDP in the country is, adjusted for inflation. They never announced GDP adjusted for inflation. They just announced their numbers. Also, the government spending in your country, you have to know the supply chain pressure that's coming. You're also going to have to know whatever technology has been added to your country. You're going to have to know the DXY, or the value of your dollar according to foreign markets, and the percentage that taxes have gone up. Only then could you find out your real nominal inflation. Then you have to have a profit margin on top of the inflation number to find out the total income increase required to beat inflation, because remember, our goal is to always increase your purchasing power, not the currency units. Currency units don't mean anything. Please remember, the best people on earth that can deal with this are the countries that have problems. So go study Venezuela. Go study Weimar Germany in the 30s. Go study Lebanon right now, the people who have insane inflation. Learn from them and what they do, because if you do that, I guarantee you're going to have a much, much better life. Anyway, I wish you guys the very best. If you want to reach out to me, to sell your property in Toronto, please reach out at sellhigher.ca. Also, if you are looking for any other questions that you want me to try to answer, I read all your comments. I can't get back to all of them, but please leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. If you like this type of video, I'll keep trying to do it more. Also, if you have any questions specifically, put them in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you and I'll send you a message. All right. Wish you guys the best.